All right, thank you very much for joining us. This is Stay for Dialogues on a day that is Friday. And of course, if you're following on the presidential diary, today is the day when we began national prayers for the country. Tomorrow, there will be an interfaith prayer session led by President Uhuru Kenyatta and, of course, clergy from different denominations. And this is to mean that the entire weekend will be a weekend about prayer. But of course, there are other things to talk about, including the Public Order Act that was introduced and adopted by the Cabinet yesterday. And of course, the questions of what transpired yesterday in the Cabinet are some of the things we have occurred. And this is what we'll be discussing this afternoon. My name is John Jacob Curia. Welcome to 1 hour and a half or so. We'll be discussing nothing except what is going on in the country. I have Kamau, who is sitting next to me for the first time in a long time. Very close to me. And I also have Wanjoy and Maina Kamunya, who are also with us in the studio. Very quickly, say hi. So we begin. I will start with you, Kamau.
Good afternoon, viewers. Yes. Thank you, JJ, for making me sit next to you. Maybe it's going to be a good conversation.
Yes.
Thank you.
No doubt it will be. Wanjoy.
Good evening, good afternoon, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a holy weekend. And we want to suppose that by the end of this prayer week, we'll be a renewed people, and we'll be wishing that by the end of this week, all will be well in our country. It's a holy week, holy weekend in the most unholy.
What makes it holy?
Well, when things go south for this nation, we have always remembered to go down on our knees.
Okay.
Yes.
Holy weekend. Maina Kamunya, very quickly.
Thank you, JJ. And afternoon to everyone. My name is Maina Kamunya, and I'm glad to be here. May I say that I'm also the elected chairman, BBI Youth Movement, Mount Kenya region. And I'm
chairman.
Yes, I'm the chairman, Youth Caucus, Mount Kenya region. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to serve the region interest. And I'm sure as we go forward, we shall be able to talk in our language. Okay.
Hey. That was Greek, yeah?
Yeah.
So what are the interests of this region in the BBI?
So what we are talking about, and what maybe I was talking to some women and men out there, is that as we go forward, let's not fight Ruto, Raila. No. Let's first of all concentrate. Who can be able to cater for our interest, our population, our economy? You get the point? So because those are what are dear to us. No matter who becomes the president, we must always remember that none of them will come and bring food to our tables.
So in the BBI process, the interest of the region is to look for a person who will anchor your interest?
No. Yeah. That's basically wrong. We are saying, let's look for areas that will improve our lives, will address our issues, our interest in the BBI. Basically that.
So the region hasn't identified its interests just yet?
They are already there, okay, but they have not been met so far. Or even if they have been met, maybe not fully.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's get off the BBI train and get to the issues of the country. And I think we'll start by the Public Order Act. Kamau. And one of them, of course, the Public Order Act has been with us, only that President Uhuru Kenyatta's government activated it the other day, obviously because of the chaos we saw in Morange and some of the political violence we're seeing in political meetings. And one of them now being that you must seek permission from the OCS, Officer Commanding Station, whose area you're visiting or under whose jurisdiction you will be visiting. One, do you support that? Do you think it's a limitation of freedom of sorts by government mandarins?
You ask whether it's freedom curtailed to people. I don't think so. These things, or this provision is in the law. Okay. And the government has let people do whatever they want to do in a mindset that they're going to mind about themselves and behave well. But at least I can say I'm not so excited, but at least I'm calm, because we had gone to as far as where we would go into someone's house, open and remove a packet of unga and say, because I'm in this side of political divide and you're in this, I can take your unga and not say anything. Basically, what the government did is to enhance. And one thing that people didn't note is that when Joseph Kenywa and his team stepped out at the steps of Harambee House it was a statement, and he read very simple, put points to tell Kenyans just be mindful of the other, because basically the provision, when you look at it, it shows that be mindful of the other person, do what you're doing, but be within the law. And I think that is a simple like saying. They escalated, and one time when we started this show, I cautioned that it's going to be a very time with escalated political push and pull. And it was a bit worrying, because now the country was becoming unproductive, because every day, every other time you wake up, it's politics. So I look at it as an advantage and just a wake up for the people who had planned to do anything that was not within the law.
All right.
Yes.
Wanjohi, the others to think this order, first of all, of course, the National Security Advisory Committee, James Kenya reads a statement, Joseph Kenya reads a statement on their behalf, and then yesterday it is adopted in cabinet. But the ambiguity of this Public Order Act, in the sense that it doesn't tell us who is supposed to seek permission from the OCS and what rank of officers, because I also think this order was actually meant to, or was directed to just one person and his troops, without due regard to his position or rank.
Thank you, JJ. It has always been the practice that when you want to hold any meeting,
Yes,
or maybe any public baraza in any place, you have to notify the authorities so that you prepare them that you plan to do A, B, C, D, and you want to achieve A, B, C, D, so that they can come on board and provide security. However, I want to question the government or the National Security Advisory Committee. Why now? Why now? We are not new to the happenings of today.
yes,
And we know what has been happening for the last few years, that is for the last 2 years.
yes.
That is post 2017. And we have people in government who have come out in public and declared that they will do anything humanly possible to make sure that a certain candidate, a certain individual does not ascend to power. And what I'm seeing with what Kenya did the other day is one of the many ways.
Head of public service.
Yes, the head of public service is one of the many ways of trying and taming the DP.
Okay.
And trying to kind of cut is
But Joseph Kenya is just the head of public service. Would he tame the DP? And if he was to, with the authority of whom?
well, Kenya was speaking on behalf of some people we wouldn't mention in such a platform.
Okay.
He was sent
on behalf of the government.
Yes, he was sent on behalf of the government to make what those we call the
And don't allow Kamau to direct your answers. Just respond according to.
Yes, and kindly protect me from Kamau.
Go ahead.
Yes, Joseph was not speaking for himself. He was speaking for the government. And the reason why you can invoke the Riot Act is if we have continued activities that kind of risk national security. And if I may ask, anybody watching, any sane Kenyan, do you have activities going on that this big of a risk to our national security? And the answer is no. So what they are basically doing, and today I want to continue.
Anything that threatens the existence, the peaceful coexistence of people, is actually a threat to national security.
Yes.
You don't think the incidents you've seen in Murang'a severally repeat themselves is a threat to security?
But some of these things are orchestrated.
Okay.
Assuming tomorrow, maybe assuming on maybe on Sunday, when maybe Raila Odinga goes to a church, because it's fortunate that nowadays he's going to churches. Assuming on Saturday or maybe on Sunday when he goes to a church, and my friend and I go there and fight each other, is that can that be interpreted that it's a threat to national security? No.
All right. Very fair point you make. Maina Kamunya, how do you dissociate the invocation of a Public Order Act from what Wanjohi is trying to say, and probably what he didn't do is mention names? There is actually a direct sabotage of the activities of the Deputy President.
Thank you, JJ. And I disagree totally with what Wanjohi is trying to say. Because you know, and let us be frank here.
Yes.
It's very unfortunate that we are talking about these incidents 2 years to general election. In fact, I would expect this, the kind of political temperature and momentum we are having to be when we are talking about six months or 3 months to elections. But when you see a campaign that or rallies that are causing death 2 years to a general election, then it should worry everyone.
All right.
And remember, it's the responsibility of the government to ensure that none of its citizens lose a life or their property are destroyed just because of political activities. So I might say this: the invocation of that Public Act Order Act is right. It's due because its aim is to ensure that we remind Kenyans, because this is not a new act; it's been there. But the trend that we are having, political trend that we have in our current country today, it seems that most of the political prayers, and he later mentioned the DP, is forgetting that all what you have to do it within the confines of the law.
Let me ask you, this new Public Order Act, because there appears to be a new twist. Previously in the Public Order Act, what you were supposed to do is to notify the officer commanding station of a meeting, and I think several days prior to the meeting you're supposed to have, but that didn't require his consent. Now this one, it's you notify him and he must consent to the meeting.
Okay, the reason why maybe that clause is put there to ensure that he confirms, because realistically, if we may talk and be frank in this studio, we have seen defiance, right? And maybe the Security Council have noticed that even if the DP is told not to do campaigns, he'll still do it. So the only way to ensure that he does not distract Kenyans from the political, from the development agenda and brainwash their minds to think politically, is to ensure that even if he plants a rally somewhere, then the OCS or the regional commander says no, then you have no authority to go there.
So you agree this was tailor-made for the deputy president?
Of course. Okay. Because what we are saying is, and I say that, and let us be frank, it's unfortunate. It's very hard to start this to raise the political temperature to this extent.
All right.
You see what happened in Kisii, Nyamira yesterday. You see the police came in a very calm way, and they told the public, you know what, just leave this, just leave. But after they left, then another group of MPs came. They directed these young people from the original venue they were to be, they took them to another venue. So what happened there? Okay. So the police have had to use tear gas to disperse them. So why would a member of parliament, who is essentially in parliament, who makes this law, would defy an order given by the police, we knowing that they are the law enforcement agents, you defy them, and then and you want to continue with what they are telling you not to do.
All right, I would want to pick your mind both because you appear to support the Public Order Act, and probably start with Wakamau. Well, what was happening in Nyamira was happening yesterday. Obviously, the Deputy President was in a cabinet meeting. But the meeting was cancelled owing to the fact that the Joseph Kinyua committee, the advisory committee, had already invoked the Public Order Act the previous day. But while this was happening, Raila Odinga was in Kajiado, meeting women and selling the agenda of a BBI. Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua was in Lare, Meru County, conducting a series of meetings, public meetings. Why do you think these meetings were not cancelled, or the Public Order Act was not invoked on these two leaders, but on a meeting that the Deputy President was going to had to be invoked?
Because they had notified the OCS.
Come on.
And for Deputy President.
How many days is supposed? 7 days, right?
No, 3 days. 3 days.
3 days.
3 days, and not maximum of 14 days.
And this order was invoked on Wednesday evening?
By the time they were on that step of Harambee House, Prime Minister Raila Odinga, Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua
had notified,
had in mind what they're supposed to do. The most defiant,
the only person who didn't have an idea of what he wanted to do,
the only person who knows what he's supposed to do, but he does not do that, is Deputy President. Why? Because he's in the government and he can do as he wishes. Let me tell you, economically, if you look at it, yesterday he was in Nyamira, because now he
didn't go to Nyamira.
He was to go to Nyamira. And maybe it was a day, coffee picking day yesterday. And he goes there with his people. People leave their farm to go and see him. Will they pick their coffee? Will they pick their tea, or will they take their milk the daily? So some of these things, when you look at them economically, and they've been talking about empowerment, they are disempowering people. Because if it was a day of work, which day was yesterday?
Yesterday was
Thursday was a working day. Then you want to go and call people on a field, women and children, to come in.
And the only person guilty of this crime is the
Let me
deputy
finish.
president. Yes.
Now, going forward, let you go and notify the OCS or the inspector at the rank, and say who the people you expect to come to your political or gathering that you have. What I'm trying to say is this. Deputy President William Ruto, earlier, President Uhuru Kenyatta advised him to stop politicking because he knew at some level he'll get himself exposed. Now he's exposed so much that no one thinks he's powerful. He cannot even tell an inspector this and do, because power is perceived or the way you look at it. So as much as people are talking about his sympathy, getting sympathy on this other side, every other Kenyan knows that this guy cannot even tell an inspector do or not to do.
Okay.
So on that note, in regard to what you're saying, comparing Alfred Mutua and Prime Minister Raila Odinga, let's be a people of law-abiding citizens. If you want to put up a meeting, please do what you're supposed to.
Actually,
as Kamunya said, notify the authority.
I would have asked you how you know that they notified the OCS in good time, owing to the fact that the notification for, or rather the Public Order Act, was invoked on Wednesday evening. But I also don't have contrary evidence.
But because
listen,
on the same
that's why I'm
meeting,
concluding
yes,
that I also don't have contrary evidence
on the same
to mean that they didn't give
the mentioned meeting,
yes,
that you said, JJ,
yes,
there was a provision of security. There were maximum security at Alfred Mutua's and Raila's. Why? Because they had notified them that they are coming. But this one comes whenever he feels, or from top, or in a chopper, and lands.
And there's still security.
Because he goes with 100 police officers in his entourage. So what do you expect?
Do you want to still hold the same argument that why Raila Odinga's meeting and Alfred Mutua's meeting went and interrupted is because they had notified the OCSs?
I don't have that evidence too, but I would say this, maybe the police were guided by the president. Have we had a meeting or a gathering where Mutua is present and there are chaos? No. Have we had a rally where Raila Odinga is there and there are chaos? No.
Not even one.
Just let me finish.
You need to set the record. From what time are you talking about?
From handshake? No. Right? And I think I have made it very clear that they are not talking about for 2022. So the only place that we go, we have chaos, is when we have the DP. You get the point? So therefore, if I am the one in charge of police, I will be worried. I remember, DP is not just an ordinary Kenyan. In fact, when he goes to a meeting and he complains that the county commissioner was not there, the DCC was not there, the police were absent. As a Kenyan, as a law-abiding citizen, I should be worried. Because if the rights of a deputy president is a matter of national security, if that guy gets an accident or if he dies in a rally, do you think this country would not burn? It would burn. So when he goes to a rally without the county commission, without the police, he is even risking the interest of the country.
What's your point?
What I'm saying is, maybe they were guided by the president that these two guys are peaceful. Their rallies are peaceful. This man, when he goes there, it is chaos. So tunasema kwa Kiswahili ni ile unafunga ile dume ambayo ina vita sana, unafunga.
Right, fair point. Let me hear Wanjohi. You hold the same argument?
No. And maybe it's high time that I reminded my co-panelists here,
yes,
that we have different types of leaders. Leaders in church are pastors, bishops. Those in business are business mongols and others. But in politics, we have politicians, and the sole business of a politician is to politic. So whatever our politicians are doing is what they have been hired by Kenyans to do.
Are you saying politicking doesn't come with responsibility?
It comes with responsibility.
Okay.
But if you go back to our constitution, that is chapter 4, every Kenyan is entitled to freedom of association and assembly. I don't know why we are being denied such a right.
But assembly must just a minute. Assembly must not be a threat to the national peace and security.
Wait a minute.
Just remember that.
Going forward, many a times that Baba, that is Raila Odinga, has come out to say that the BBI, which is a political process, is on a halt. Is on what they say, half time. So very soon, they will kickstart their campaigns. What my friends are calling campaign. And what the DP is doing, I want to demystify that lie. It's not a campaign, because we have features that characterize a campaign. One, we have vehicles moving around with posters. I've not seen that in some of these rallies.
Let's listen to the
some of these rallies that the DP is going to. Two, the only place that I know we have
but the fact that you have not seen any doesn't mean that they have not been there.
Well,
say you are not aware.
I'm not aware on that. But we cannot kind of generalize and say everything that the DP is doing are campaigns. Two, I need also to enlighten Kenyans and demystify a lie that has been peddled by Kamau, that the DP is being invited to attend some of these things. For example, in Nyamira, he had been invited by a Boda Sacco. It's not his business to go and ask for permission from the OCS and other the authorities. It's the business of those people inviting him to do the same. It's not the business of the
You make
DP.
a very valid point, but let me take you back. What the DP is doing is not campaigning.
Yes.
Try and justify that part, because there are so many people who disagree with you.
The DP is not campaigning. Basically what he's doing is empowerment. And I wish to encourage him to continue in the same spirit.
And where does this 2022 story come from?
Well, he has no...
And where people say loudly that the contest is now framed. It is between hustlers and dynasties.
Okay, we talk of safari ya kesho upangwa leo. That in Swahili. So I don't see...
Ikipangwa leo, safari ya kesho ikipangwa leo si safari.
Ni safari. Na msafiri ni aliye bandarini.
You know JJ.
Let me make my point.
Exhaust this point. Yes.
Let me make my point. The other day, I saw Governor Mutua launching his manifesto. Manifesto for what? For 2022.
Yes.
So when Mutua does the same, it's not a problem. But when another person does the same, it's a problem.
This is the second in command.
But the bottom line is, all of these people making such declarations are politicians, and they are in power as we speak.
You see,
wait a minute.
I will give you a point to respond.
When this committee that was formed after the invocation of that public order act, the people who were given the mandate to go in that committee, one of them is Dr. Fred Matiang, the CS for Interior. In the recent past, there was this day they went to, I think, in Kajiado, and the CS for Health, Kagwe, was heard on national television, kind of endorsing Matiang for presidency.
Matiang has been endorsed even in his backyard in Kisi.
Yes, and it is in this very constitution whereby we are advised that anybody in public service should be apolitical.
Okay.
So these people have seen that are seeing that the DP is making major strides toward 2022, and they will do anything humanly possible to tame him.
All right. As you respond to that, very quickly, because it raises a very valid point, and obviously it was a point where I wanted us to venture into. We don't know what interests Fred Matiang'i has towards the year 2022. What we know right now is that he's a minister in charge of Interior, but he has had endorsements, and he has appeared actually to welcome them. He's been endorsed even in a political meeting in Murang'a, probably where Kamau was attending. When he becomes a chair of such a critical committee, obviously courtesy of being the minister in charge of Interior, a person who has actually stood up and appeared to confront the deputy president direct. Does the deputy president stand a chance of ever holding a meeting procedurally going by the Public Order Act?
Allow me first of all to read from what Wajay has said, and it's very, very unfortunate that you have in a panel a guy by the name of Joy who seems not to understand how politics are done in Kenya.
Tell us what you understand.
You see,
leave him alone.
No, I can't leave him alone because he's
tell us what you understand.
He's misguiding Kenyans. And he's just peddling lies here. He's trying to peddle propaganda.
Tell us the truth.
You see, Wajohi, let's be frank. When you tell us that the DP is not campaigning, we are just trying to Kenyans. You get the point? The DP have a manifesto to implement.
True.
You get the point? They stood in 2017. They told Kenyans that they're going to implement this, they're going to implement that. So when he's giving wheelbarrows and mikokotenis, under whose framework, under which framework? Because you see, and I've said here times and again, he is the principal assistant of the president. So whatever manifesto, whatever agenda the president have, he should be the first right hand man of the president.
Your point is the deputy president is campaigning.
Yes, he is. And you see, what I'm saying is, the reason why maybe he's fighting all this obstacle in his way, because he's forcefully doing it. I think if you have not seen a history whereby at this particular time, 2 years down the line, or 2.5 years, because you are not sure of whether we'll have the election 2022 or 2023.
Why wouldn't we?
Okay, if you do the calculations from when these guys came into power, you may probably go to 2023.
Those are arguments of a BBI. The arguments in the Constitution is that on the second Tuesday of August,
count 5 years
we
from,
shall have...
count 5 years from when the
argument
president
didn't hold in 2013, Maina Kamunya. Surely, there's a precedent in court. Move on.
You need to consult your constitution
on.
And do your calculation well.
Move on.
So you see, what I'm saying this, we are talking about two years down the line to come.
Yes.
You're talking of a second person in a command, but doing contrary to what the agenda of the government is. You can't expect that. Okay. And the reason why you are seeing him being tamed is because they know these guys have influence. That's one. 2, he have the authority because he is in power. That's the second one. And 3, he have the system. Right? Those 8 years that's been in government.
Oh, he has the same system he's complaining against.
Of course he have.
Okay.
You get those 8 years that have been in government. I'm sure if you tell the DP to call the person representing the government in Kangema or in Madio, in Meru, he'll do that because he have been in that government for 8 years.
And probably they will not pick his call because they know tomorrow they might be fired.
Some will not. And you see, these guys have also been able to divide the country into 2. In every constituency, in every county, he have his brigade there. So when you're talking about this person, with the amount of influence, the amount of system we have, we can't allow him to go that route.
Spending too much time on that point. He's campaigning, right? That's what you're holding.
He's dividing the country. He's dividing the country. And that's
I asked you a question.
Okay, Matiang is not to be the president, right?
He's not?
I'm sure he will not be the presidential candidate come 2022.
How do you know? And you say you are sure?
He does not stand the chance. Right? He can try as any other Kenyan. But his position today as a CS for Interior and his experience in government can't allow him to be the presidential candidate. He can vie, yes, as any ordinary Kenyan, but he can't be the president.
No, we're not talking about, I was not talking about him being president. The fact that he's been endorsed and he appears to be interested in it. And courtesy of a position he's holding now, the committee in charge of this adherence to the Public Order Act, and obviously owing to his demeanor or their relationship with the deputy president. I think you saw him on TV the other day say, being asked what is the relationship with the deputy president, and he said he can't comment on that. Does the deputy president stand a chance to hold a procedural meeting? You
see, even if I was Matiang, I would still say the same. For one reason, I'm the one in charge of the national security. If this country goes down to those separate parts, who do we blame? He will be the first person as you blame the president. Can I ask you a question? When you had the ICC guys, why was Major General Ari there? Because he was in charge of the police, you remember? So Matiang must have that sour relationship with the deputy president because he's returning his job.
I did not ask about the relationship.
I'm saying he can't allow the DP to do the campaigns because he knows he's a threat to his job.
So that means you are telling us that any meeting that Matiang will sit on and is deliberating on any meeting the deputy president plans to have, it will not go through.
No. The DP was in the cabinet yesterday.
Yes.
When those were being passed. I'm sure if he had his own reservations, he would have raised them there.
We'll talk about the cabinet meeting.
You see,
I asked a very specific question. I don't know why you are avoiding to answer that question. Fred Matiang is the chair of this committee that is supposed to vet all these requests to hold meetings. We know his public position in regard to how him and the deputy president relate. And I'm asking, does the deputy president stand a chance to have a procedural meeting
Of course,
when
yes.
Matiang is the chair?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
Of course, yes. He's a Kenyan and he's entitled to the benefit of the law. You get the point? But he'll be tamed when he seems to be a threat to the national security.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kamau, do you hold the same? Fred Matiang is not a threat to deputy president meetings as long as he is the chair of this committee that is in charge of the Public Order Act?
No, he's not.
Okay.
What Deputy President William Ruto needs to do is to know how to negotiate with other men.
Okay.
By that I mean, every law that is put, or regulation or provisions are subject to human. And if Matiang is the internal security, yes, there is a way he can negotiate with him, have a cup of tea, and explain himself that he can be understood. The reason why all these provisions are being made there, and my brother Wanjohi, William Ruto is still a civil servant or public servant, so he's also not allowed to go and do politics. If Matiang can't do politics, then William Ruto is not supposed to do. And that is why President Uhuru Kenyatta, on the onset, he said, let's first work.
Okay.
And it is easy if I was to advise Deputy President, because now I am where I wanted us to be, like I told you earlier. Let him sit down with these men. Where they take tea or where they take their beer, let him go there. Talk to these men, tell them, man, there is somewhere I want to. We always get interaction through this. But if he wants to push himself into ways that is not understand, these men cannot understand, these men are going to push him to the last point, and he may not get to where he wanted to go, because this is all human relation.
Yes.
Even doing politics and going to empower other people is because he wants to increase his human relation, that these people might understand him and may give him a chance to rule this nation.
Okay.
Yes.
The Invocation of Public Order Act, Wanjohi, because there's a number of people who have a problem, and probably because I come from the media fraternity. There's something that Joseph Kinyo mentioned about monitoring of social media content and mainstream media content in regards to the stuff they are churning. And of course, it sounds like a very colorful statement, but they also think this could be a return to dark days where you want to emasculate free space.
Well, before I answer that question, JJ, I need to put something into perspective.
Yes.
That the DP can campaign, but the CS cannot. Why? One, the DP is a DP as a result of a direct political process, but the CS is not. When we ushered in the 2010 Constitution, it brought a new constitutional dispensation whereby we saw it fit to depoliticize the cabinet. That is why you have technocrats sitting as CSs.
And politicians also.
But the main idea was to have
purely technocrats.
Yes.
Yes.
The cabinet was supposed to be apolitical. But the DP and the president and the entire maybe executive, no, the DP and the president are as a result of a political processes. So they are politicians and they can politic. So they can go ahead and campaign within the confines of the law. Back to your question. Kinyo was in order to do as he did, in as much in ordering that we should kind of try and sieve what we kind of relay to the public. Many a times that we have people maybe managing our WhatsApp groups where also outline the mass media. We need to know that some of these things are in this new world where technology is a very strong tool, can play a very vital role, and a negative one for that matter, in either bringing positivity in a nation or negativity. We need also to remember that in 2017 we had this company called Cambridge Analytica, and it was kind of questioned for its role in the 2017 election. It emerged in most of these petitions that it was one of the companies that influenced the way people voted in 2017. So we need not underscore the weight of the social media and the media. It's a very powerful tool, and if misused, it can be used to take us back to the Rwanda days. Basically, it can be used to kind of bring animosity in our country.
All right.
And I want to laud Kenya for taking, and the entire committee, the entire security committee, for going that route.
All right.
Yes.
Maina Kamunya, obviously, nobody downplays the role of the media in fueling chaos, because actually the media takes the central role in spreading the chaos we saw in 2007. It actually stands in the dock in terms of the role it played in terms of fueling chaos. But we've also walked a path where the government wants to use the media as a scapegoat for its ineffectiveness to contain passions in a country. And of course, we saw during the swearing in of somebody like Raila Odinga, when he saw himself as the people's president, and the government regarded that as a threat to national security and switched off 3 major media outlets in the country. And this appears like it's a path we've walked already. And this sounds like a drumbeat of signs of where we've come from.
I think they are very much aware of the history.
Yes.
And these provisions, maybe what they are coming up with is a result of what maybe they have seen. Because if you know, revolutions worldwide, the major player is the media.
They are broadcasted.
They are broadcasted.
Yes.
The most powerful tool to ensure that the country is united, the country is peaceful, is the media. Also, the tool that can be used to destroy a country within minutes or within days is the media. So what I'm saying is, maybe they have seen and they have realized, because we are headed to a very delicate situation ahead of us. The BBI is coming, the referendum. You get the point? So, and we are very much aware that 2005, we had a very divisive referendum that was a recipe for the 2007, 2008 post-election violence. So, and I think they are very cautious of that, because maybe they are foreseeing a situation whereby, even if we have this referendum with the intention of building the country and having an inclusive nation, maybe there will be a section of readers who will feel, no, we are not part of this game, and maybe they want to divert from it.
So what you're saying is that the government is already admitting volatility. What it doesn't want the media to do is to amplify the volatility.
No.
Yes.
What they are doing is ensure that they in case of we get to that route, it's already mitigated.
Okay.
Because you see, like last night I was having a story, a sort of what happened in Moranga, and one of the local stations of the Kikuyu vernacular stations, one of the panelists, your co-journalist Michael Jenga, was to have a show with Dede Nyoren, Sabina Wajiro Shege. But because of the interest of the county, then they pulled them.
That poster was denied by the respective media.
You see, so it was denied, but immediately it was denied. There was a section of young people who went on Facebook, they created a page, and they posted those stuff there. And I'm telling you, they sorted the journalist, Michael Jenga, and what he did, he reported. And those guys are arrested. They were arrested yesterday during the day. And you see, there were, in fact, what shocked many is that there were just 3 guys. They were paid 3,000 each, and their oldest is 21 years. You get the point? They were arrested. They were taken to the police. They were given the police board of 20,000 each. They can't pay, so they're still in cell.
They're still in
so
cell.
What I'm saying is, we know how powerful the media can be. And we know if it is not checked, it can bring this nation to the grave.
All right.
So that I think the government is very much aware of that fact, and they're going to mitigate and ensure that we don't get to that path again.
All right.
Yeah.
I want us to get to yesterday's cabinet meeting. Kamau. The Daily Nation reports that yesterday's cabinet meeting was very stormy. Obviously, this Public Order Act was being considered by the cabinet and was adopted yesterday. And yesterday is that day that you wish you were a fly or a rat in State House, so you would have heard exactly what happened in that cabinet meeting. But there's no doubt there was pressure on the deputy president. Kamau.
I don't think so.
Oh.
Unless he created it himself.
You don't think there
it was just a cabinet meeting, and there's nothing unusual that was to discuss. Only the endorsement of these provisions into going to a political gathering or having a meeting, which is not stormy. After all, it was a reminder of the things that are there in the law.
You don't think he was in an awkward position?
I don't think there was anything unusual in that meeting or stormy, because if cabinet meets and it's the president who calls in for the cabinet meeting, you sit there, endorse, participate. But why as a person would you make it stormy? What do you want to draw from it? I remember this PLO Lumumba.
Yes.
In another channel, he was cautioning on people who want things so much, and those people who they feel entitled. Whenever a meeting is called, let's say a panelist like this, if I feel entitled, it is a point of resentment. If I don't get what I want in this panelist, I probably may resent and may be stormy, right? But if I know that I expect nothing but what I get, I'll just be calm and given my chance. Even in the cabinet meetings, let's not try to make mountains out of molehills, because there's Deputy President William Ruto has all the chance to wait and participate in cabinet meetings, and he'll make as calm as it can be. Okay. So for me, I think unless
it was just a cool meeting.
No, it can't be.
No, I'm saying I'm going there. Unless he was not satisfied on the outcome of the meeting, then he went out reporting or telling his people it was stormy. But I don't hear any other cabinet secretary saying it was stormy. So I don't know where that is coming from.
Obviously.
But it was reported in the news. Probably is him because of what he's entitled to get, or the attention he thought he would get, he didn't get. Those are why probably he turned up, maybe throwing tantrums because of the meeting or something like that.
Let me give you something. Because obviously Daily Nation was quoting sources from the cabinet. Obviously it was not the deputy president.
Yes.
But while still what was happening in Kisii, the deputy president tweeted after consultations with MPs Kemosi, Mose, Nyamuko, the Boda Boda Sacco and church leadership who had invited us, we have postponed the two functions in Nyamira County to Thursday next week. The disruptive dispersal by police of Kenyans engaged in economic empowerment is unnecessary. A few minutes later, he writes, we have agreed with DG Maangi. Remember, the Kemosi Mose Nyamoko was in Nyamira County. DG Maangi is from Kisii. He had a function in Kisii also. And he says, we have agreed with DG Maangi, MPs Miruka and Osoro, to postpone the Ogambo Youth and Kenyanya Women Empowerment Program from tomorrow to Friday next week. Church building, Boda Boda Sacco, Women's Sacco, and youth empowerment drives, just like Kazim Taani, is development, not politics. This is the personal opinion of the deputy president.
Yes.
You don't think he raised ruckus in that cabinet meeting to protest against the public order?
That particular sentiment he has cannot appear in a cabinet meeting.
What do you mean?
There is nothing you'll go talk about wheelbarrows and Kokoteni in a cabinet meeting. That is a policy meeting, which entails to all youth, women, old men.
No, I'm not talking about the wheelbarrows.
Wait a minute. No, I'm not. I'm giving an example so that it gets in your mind to know that such things that he's writing on his tutor, whatever they call it, cannot sit on a cabinet meeting. In fact,
but you see,
hold on.
His arrangement with the DG and what he's telling us in public and what he wants us to feel or know is looking for sympathy on this.
Yesterday, the cabinet set, other than the other policy issues, because there are several other issues the cabinet adopted, but one of them was the Public Order Act.
Yes.
And obviously they had a discussion because it was not the president telling them this is what we are doing. In cabinet they discuss.
Yes.
You don't think the deputy president raised his opposition to the Public Order Act?
Why it is in the law, which actually is saying we should not change this constitution, number one. Number two,
it is not in the constitution.
He sits in the cabinet meeting. He's a deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. If the president himself being the number one and deputy president being number two and other included cabinet secretaries, if every other person is comfortable with what was happening in the meeting, why is it for him?
But you see, Kamau, just a minute. Let me do something.
Give me time.
The DP and the other.
Allow him to finish so he can respond.
Yeah, he will respond to this thing. The deputy president, where does he want to go? We start from there. If the cabinet says on this particular time next Friday we will be Nyamira, all of us, that will add on him. But he can't wait for that until he makes the meeting to be stormy. No. What am I saying? In the eyes of consumers of his information, and does not start now. If you read the history, the book of Habakkuk, he was complaining of public disorder. People who could not obey, people who could not even obey the orders of the government of the day. That is where the situation is.
But you see, JJ,
those people who respond to Kamau very quickly.
Wait a minute. Those people
come out, just a minute. Just a minute to come out. Because you see,
no. It is my point, and I want to finish. I have not put If he puts this information out there, and he puts in his Twitter handle, in Facebook and everything, he's actually inciting Kenyans.
You're simply saying the
1 minute. In the social media,
yes,
he will incite Kenyans, and that will be the end of it.
The meeting was not stormy, according to you.
It was not.
You see, JJ, what was the main agenda of the cabinet meeting yesterday? We start from there.
Do you know?
Yes.
Which was?
It was about the Public Act order. That's what makes it.
Yes.
And we must know that when the cabinet sit down, obviously they must have an overview. What happened, so that we get where we are today. It's order. When I'm the chairman of a meeting, when you're coming to give an agenda, of course you have to have an overview. Why are you getting there? Why are you discussing? I'm sure the deputy president was not at ease. The boss was there. He had been previously in Muranga, where two people lost their lives in a country where is the DP. You get the point? Where there were chaos there. You get the point? What we were saying, I'm sure the meeting was.
And you also have a number of cabinet secretaries opposed to his ambition.
Of course. The DP is in the cabinet, following his own ambitions as a one man.
Drop from that
just
cabinet.
A minute.
We shall talk about that. You're running ahead of yourself.
I don't mean to make my point.
Yes.
You see, he is in that cabinet having his own ambitions alone. All the other members of the cabinet, including the president, have an agenda of development. And that's why we are saying he must not. Even those what he was tweeting there is a matter of revenge. If you read the spirit of those tweeters, he's just revenging because he knows that Kenyans do not have the benefit of being in the cabinet. No,
he was trying to tell us what he said in the cabinet.
Of course, as a revenge, because he cannot tell us the truth.
He's just a single man.
He cannot tell us the truth. Just a minute, come out. He cannot tell us the truth that during the cabinet, maybe he was isolated. He felt dishappy because of the discussion. Because I'm sure he was to blame for all those things.
All right. Something I wanted to move to Ajoy. At least you're saying the meeting was stormy. Kamau doesn't agree the meeting was stormy.
Because of one person.
Hold on a minute.
Because of one person,
hold on a minute. Whether
the meeting cannot be stormy because of one single
It's not
guy.
in time. Let me throw this to Ajoy. Immediately the Daily Nation released their headline. Because the headline of the Daily Nation today was storming cabinet. Ruto told to quit. We'll get to the quit part. But the deputy president tweeted, quoting that headline, cabinet secretaries challenging who to do what? Hii itumiwe kufunga matumbo
na mara.
That was the deputy president's classic response. Maybe probably Kamau was right. There was no storm in the meeting anyway.
There was a time sometimes back when the newspapers wrote some things about the president, and there came the phrase by the president that ikitu ni ya kufunga nyama.
So he copied.
Maybe he did. For a long time, for anybody in the media, doing newspapers and print media and the other media, this being a business, you need catchy headlines to sell. So when there was a time back when the newspaper headlines read that the DP is an isolated man.
Isn't he?
And of course he is.
Maybe he is, maybe he's not. When you collect all these headlines,
yes.
But there was this day the DP did say that because newspapers are selling courtesy of his name, he is entitled to something small from these companies. Away from that, when you convene a cabinet and you have all these men seated and ladies, and you have agendas, you are here to discuss. And in a discussion, the expectation is we have people who will agree, others will disagree, but at the end of the day, you must arrive to some consensus. And they did. And after they kind of adopted the Riot Act, the DP saw it fit to cancel the two scheduled meetings for next week on Thursday.
Saw it fit or was informed of the situation in the ground?
He saw it fit. As a law-abiding citizen, he saw it fit
you
to postpone the wait a minute, Kamunya. Wait a minute. To postpone the meetings
even
for
before,
Thursday.
even before the cabinet was over.
He did reschedule the meeting for Thursday and Friday.
If we'll get the permission or license to.
Yes.
But
wait a minute.
Mind the Kamanya, hold on.
Hold your horses. Hold your horses.
Clearly he has many.
He saw it fit as a law-abiding citizen and a role model.
No.
He saw it fit to reschedule the two meetings. We need also remember that after the incidents in Kenya,
even before even before he cancelled the meeting,
Kamunya.
the public in the Nyamira were already dispersed by the police. Even before the cabinet meeting was over, the people in Nyamira had already been dispersed by the police. So it was not about cancelling the meeting. The meeting had already been cancelled by the police.
But
so don't stop praying to Kenyans.
The meeting was scheduled before this cabinet meeting.
But you'll also understand there was a number of people adamant on the ground and they are waiting for him still.
Yes.
Of course, you expected that because they are paid handouts.
Go ahead.
Kamunya
is the handout giver in chief.
He should come out clean and explain some of these things.
Make your point very quickly because we need to move on.
One, I wanted, you have even made me to lose my...
He cancelled his meeting because he was patriotic?
He was, as a law-abiding citizen and as a role model, bearing in mind that he did come out and clean and kind of condemned the violence in Kenya.
He gave up.
He didn't give up. That is why he rescheduled the meeting for Thursday and Friday. So coming Thursday and Friday, before then, the two groups that had invited the DP will follow the guidelines, go to the OCS, get the permit, and the meeting will continue.
There was a tweet by the JJ there that even Kazi Mutani,
by
the DP,
yes.
that
I read his tweet.
You read his tweet, Kazi Mutani bado ni kazi. You get the point?
So he says what he's doing
is the same.
Are almost similar.
So it tells you who is doing Kazi Mutani.
Government.
It's the government. So he's
running a parallel process.
That is it. And that's why I said, if you got my point clear, the DP is completely defiant of the president. Okay. You get the point? And that's why we are saying he's trying to revenge or compete with the government in which he is in. Okay. You get the point? So stop trying to Kenya.
But we have individuals who run NGOs and they do the same.
Yes, but they are not in government.
Do you want to say that, for example,
tell him to resign?
No. All of you, what you're doing, all of you are guiding us now to the next phase of question, which we must now ask ourselves, Kamau, because you see, the Daily Nation appears to say, or rather from its sources, the meeting was stormy, though you disagree. And much of a push was on the deputy president. Guy, if you don't feel satisfied in this government, you need to quit. Do you think quitting of the deputy president probably would bring some semblance of order in President Uhuru Kenyatta's government? Because now it looks like it's a house of confusion.
Deputy president won't quit, but he'll be impeached. That I've maintained since day one. And actually, I'm happy.
When will this impeachment come? Because the last time you were here, you told us by next month he will be impeached.
You've seen the evidence of him that he can't hold a meeting on the ground. Okay? And I started, and Kamunya was the first person to say it was next to impossible. I'm happy now. He has seen like there's a government that can work.
No.
Now, what is going to happen is he will try to force himself, even when he's not given provision to hold meetings. And
obviously that appears like it's something you will defy.
He will. Yes. He will. As deputy president and his advisors, Akina Didi Nyoro, Akina Alice, Akina that Mugirango, I don't know what guy called, and Akina Sudi, he will defy. And when he defies, the tear gases and the rollies he procured in the government will rain on him. And that is a point that will defy completely. And at the time, the parliament will sit down and say, this guy is a threat to the national security. And they will sit down, they will impeach him outright.
So you think no matter the pressure, the deputy president is not going to quit? The only way is to force him out.
Deputy president was advised by the president. Yes. And he was told to hold his horses like Wanjo is telling Kamunya.
And he defied that.
He defied. And he said, he was told, wacha tufanye kazi kwanza. Mimi nitakuwa kwanza kufanyia campaign. Now, as we sit here, Deputy President of Republic of Kenya, he is exposed. He doesn't have a friend in the government who can protect him. And when the national security that
advisory committee.
Yes, sits. Does none of the people who sit there seems to support him.
Right.
Now that means that power that he used to go with wherever he used to go, he doesn't have it anymore. And the next thing will be his security. And I had someone talking about the renovation of Karen House. It's about to be renovated. That security that he works with is going to
technically would send him back to his
no, not Sugoi. He has a residence in Nairobi. So that is why he'll be meeting those young and old, giving them kokotenis, and he can run his government. At that point, he will have been exposed, and the government won't provide the security.
Wanjohi, should the deputy president quit? Looking at President Uhuru Kenyatta's cabinet, it looks like the only thing they discuss probably is bitterness every single cabinet meeting. Do you think the deputy president's quitting would bring some semblance of order?
The DP should not quit.
Should do what?
I've never seen in a scenario where the tenant smokes out the landlord. Never happens.
It has happened.
Maybe in your village.
You should ask. You should go to Kibera.
I go to Kibera.
No,
You
yes.
know, go to Kibera. Go to Kibera.
Tenants in a sane environment,
Yeah.
in a sane society, can never smoke out the landlord.
In a sense where?
In a sane scenario.
What is sane about what is happening in cabinet?
The thing is,
You're no longer saying.
the DP is not a kind of a visitor in government. He's one person who played a very vital role in forming this government. And to a larger extent, he shares half of the government. So there's no way you expect...
Not today, not today.
Wait a minute, Kamunya. Hold your horses. Did you have lunch?
Of course.
Oh, you did.
In Maina Kamunya, I'm going to, I don't know what I'm going to do to Maina Kamunya. You're becoming unruly. Go ahead.
So there's no way we expect that the DP to leave his own children and run away.
Let me ask you,
That is
because
what the
what you're
coward
trying
is.
to tell us is something, is a story we've had.
Okay.
He shares half of a cabinet, he's powerful, he's the deputy president, which is fine. But this is the deputy president who appears to be going against the policies of the very government he's serving in. Then what is he doing in a government he doesn't believe in?
One, all those things you did say are assumptions that we make.
Are they?
Not even a single day did I hear the president